Okay, so it's Sunday, June 14th at 10:05, and we wanted to do. We have some issues going on with our dogs. So we wanted to do a follow-up to the previous video, maintaining queer identity despite a hetero. What are you laughing at? Because we can't do this if you're going to laugh at me.
I'm not laughing at you. I was just sitting back and like smacking my teeth and stuff. Like maybe we should start it over.
No. Anyways, maintaining a queer identity despite appearing heterosexual. We have some interesting comments, and so we just want to kind of do a follow-up and talk a little bit more about it. So, I think overwhelmingly what I find interesting is a couple of people, and I think that there's other people, not just people who commented, who wonder why we don't just have a bisexual identity.
Because we're not bisexual?
I know, but why? Like, can you...
Do you want me to be more specific?
Well, I feel like I know, but maybe they don't, and that's kind of the point of this.
I think the biggest and most critical part of that is that bisexual denotes the whole binary gender system, and neither one of us really hang in that, you know? So I'm not bisexual because I don't see gender as just male and just female. And I'm attracted to people, and I would, if I were not in this amazing long-term committed relationship, date people along the whole entire gender spectrum. So therefore, I'm not bisexual.
Okay. What was your identity prior to us dating?
Queer.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like, why'd you identify as queer then? I mean, did you have as much of a developed sense of the gender binary then as you do now?
No. What was interesting is that I think that I was understanding that, but I didn't really have words for it or a way of really acknowledging that. But also queer, for me, just seemed to fit more with, like, I don't know, my identity just as a person and what I believed in inclusion, and so it was political, and yeah. I think you should talk a little bit now, and then maybe I'll talk a little bit more.
One of the comments that I made back to somebody's comment was about the gender binary and how bisexuality kind of leaves two options when there's a lot of other options. But the second piece that is frustrating for me with bisexuality, and this is, here's my disclaimer that I do in every video, people who identify as bisexual, I think that is totally rad and valid.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that it is not a good identity or it's not a controversial sort of statement that I'm making. I'm talking about why the identity or label of bisexual doesn't work for me. So I just wanted to put that out there. But my struggle with bisexual as an identity is the same as heterosexual and homosexual, is that it puts a lot of emphasis on the sexual acts. Mm-hmm. And it puts emphasis on two things: who I have sex with, and the kind of sex that I have. And for me, being queer that's part of it. Who I'm attracted to, who I would have sex with, who I do have sex with, the kind of sex that I have when I am having sex. But that's like one component of my queer identity. And for me, a lot is wrapped up in the fact that I spent 16 years entrenched in the lesbian and gay community. And it was about connections to other people, other marginalized people, based on this part of our identity of who we were attracted to and who we slept with and how we did that. But being queer, like Christia just said, is a political identity as well. And it's about, for me, embracing and really owning not only my lesbian past, but my current trans identity. And it also allows for inclusion of the heterosexual, heteronormative aspects of our life and our relationship. Because although we appear to be this very mainstream white heterosexual couple.
Do we appear mainstream?
I think we appear more mainstream than not. I mean, I guess we're at Pride today and yesterday, and I look around and I see a lot of people who are not mainstream, and I don't think we are representing like them. I think that we present a pretty typical college graduate white heterosexual couple.
All right.
You know, two dogs. You know what I mean? It's like we kind of house, cars, looking for work.
Yes, all of those components of our life. I think maybe I was just like thinking appearance, and sometimes I feel like we don't necessarily.
Well, you got the lesbian hair or the gay man haircut, either way, and I got the cop haircut, which brought up a lot of controversy in a video that I posted on Facebook. But nonetheless, I think that my point is still valid. That having a queer identity allows for the inclusion of the heteronormative, heterosexual aspect of our identity, while still maintaining our connections to my connection to the gay community, the lesbian community specifically, the trans community, genderqueer community, and I mean all of that stuff. That bisexuality as a label wouldn't be inclusive of all that stuff. Bisexuality would just simply tell you, you would think it would tell you who I'm having sex with and the kind of sex I'm having. Go ahead.
So I'm just thinking, like, when you talk about queer, you're talking about, something beyond the other things that are in alphabet soup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the comments was, and I don't know that I understood it completely, and so I tried to clarify, but I haven't really heard back. Was about if I would have just not had chest surgery, then it wouldn't have been an issue. And if I understand that comment correctly, what that would have done is it would have taken away my opportunity to decide whether or not to come out as trans, because I think that there was an assumption built in there that if prior to my surgery, then I would have had breasts that were large enough that people would be able to tell that I was born female, yet I had a male appearance and male voice and all this different stuff. If I'm
the dog's just getting comfortable. It's
right.
Fine.
So if I'm understanding that correctly, I don't know. There's a couple of things. Part of what having a surgery did for me is it alleviated some serious incongruencies that were going on within myself, for myself. I didn't have surgery for anybody else. I didn't have surgery to exist in society at large, undetected of my female past. I'm not interested in denying my female past on any level whatsoever. It was purely about me and what I need to do to be comfortable. But beyond that, like if I take away that opportunity to make a decision or choice of when to come out, how to come out, and who to come out to, my safety concerns are increased significantly, but I don't know that would allow me or lend us a more solidified queer identity in the way that we're talking about it, in the way that we're defining it, in the way that we're understanding it for ourselves. I think that there's a chance that we would still be pigeonholed into these incredibly restrictive labels of you being a lesbian. And if someone reads me as female, then I'm a lesbian, and if someone reads me as a trans guy, then I'm just a trans guy. And oftentimes, I think trans people, we lose our sexuality somehow, and we just become our genders or our sex or our gender presentation or our gender identity. And my gender identity is here, and it's whatever I decide that it is and whatever I tell you it is. And I also have this whole sexuality that I experience, and sometimes they work really well together, and sometimes they don't. But being outed or being read as a trans guy doesn't alleviate or take care of or even explain my sexual identity at all, actually. So just a couple of things that are probably a little too wordy to put in the comment section of the video, but what else?